War. We had hundreds of guerrillas killed every week, and in the streets of the South we had African Americans being hosed with fire hoses and run down with police dogs and so on. My dad, he was a bricklayer, a union bricklayer, and he said something to me that didn't make sense back then. He said the world leaders all drink out of the same bottle. They send the workers to war. I didn't believe it back then because I was pretty patriotic early on in the 60s. And of course, he had a backward view of African Americans. He said, give them an inch, they'll take a foot. So, you know, there's contradictions there. Well, my dad was born in 1916, so he probably heard a lot about from the suppression of the Wobblies, the into the Gilded Age in the World War I era. And so he had, you know, I'm sure he was filled with a lot of the talk of workers and war and the connection between the two. And I think we've lost that connection. We have to make it again. My dad died in 1985. My second son, Jonathan, was born in August 15th, 1985. My dad died about a month later without even seeing him. He knew about his birth, but he died. Okay, well, 2005 is probably one of the worst years of my life. That's when my wife had a stroke. My mother died. Then my second son joined the Army, and later in that year, my mother-in-law died. And the past 6 years, I've done nothing but think. And my mind is just really going 100 miles a minute, and my body's deteriorated, my emotions. I haven't hugged my son since before he deployed in October of 2006. He's well, he's come back, but he's estranged from the family. He lost 4 buddies in an IED explosion when he was on sick call, so he has guilt about that. But it just seemed like as soon as he was done basic training, we went down to Fort Benning, and when he was in formation, he hugged us. But the next day, on the way home, he was all excited and really nervous and stuff. I don't know what happened to his mind, but he just didn't feel like, you know, he knew he wasn't our son anymore. And it hasn't been the same since then. So I thought about, you know, I voted for Obama. You know, I thought the Democratic hope was pretty good. In 2008, I believed in what Joe Biden said about transformative presidency. But even then, I was starting to change and knew something was wrong. And at first I went to the Green Party, and I'm all for that. But I've come to the conclusion that we're going to have to do what our British cousins started to do in the early 20th century, and that is to form a Labour Party based on the unions. Although we can't say a lot of good things about Tony Blair, at least the Labour Party in Britain did accomplish quite a bit. Their welfare state is a hell of a lot better than ours. And at least theoretically the unions are still in control and could reassert their control. I mean, between the system we have now and workers' councils of the utopian social stream that some of us dream about, I think that would be at least a good halfway point as the Labour Party. And I think it could be a first party. I think the Democrats from 1896, they've been the party that buries social movements. My God, the Democratic Party grew out of the Ku Klux Klan. I mean, the Republican Party has more claim to, you know, ending slavery and things like that than Democrats do. So, you know, it's just really, the bosses have 2 parties. We don't have any. We need one. And that's why I urge people to pick up a leaflet from the Campaign for Mass Party of Labor. There have been Labor Party movements like in South Carolina, North Carolina, and I think this needs to start in full. This is not just another third party. This could be a first party. And of course, I encourage third parties like the Green Party to become that way too. There's probably going to be a plethora of movements, but we just can't go back to the Democrats in 2012. And when the Republicans and Democratic people come around in 2011 this summer, we can't let them have the stage. We got to see the connections. Okay, today we're talking about peace. A lot of people going to the Madison tomorrow talk about workers' rights. And on April 22nd, CCI is in Des Moines talking about factory farms. Well, they're connected. They're not separate issues. Not this day, this issue, and that day, their issue. They're all the same. It's about the exploitation of the majority of the people, the workers, us, to put us to war, to expose us to pollution, and to rob our minds of independent thought. You know, we think we have it. We think we have individualism, but if we stray outside of the mainstream thought, you know what happens. Like us here, what do we face? We face people staring at us. What are you thinking? You know, you're not patriotic. You don't support America and all that all the way. You know? So I hope you look into the Campaign for Mass Party of Labor. Thank you.